Good afternoon. You're muted.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
We've had several people confirm they'll be here, so I figure we'll have a quorum.
Okay, good. I know Brian's going to be here, so he texted me earlier. So I'm on grandma duty, so if I'm muting and the screen goes blank, I'm still listening. So
yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. So just got your message. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bad for us.
Yeah, we're in good shape here, so.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So, oh, get rid of that. Is it just the two of us so far?
It looks like it.
Okay. Well,
everyone's
it's still
being fashionably late.
Yeah. Well, we're still 5 minutes away, so we're all good. I'm just always early. So, especially since baby is sleeping right now.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and, well, all right, looks like Miss Foster Terrell arrived. You're muted.
I'm sorry. I set it for it to be automatically be muted. Sorry.
Hey. So how do you say good afternoon? Guten what?
Nachmittag.
Oh, that's okay. So that's not even close to good morning, huh?
No.
Nachmittag.
Nachmittag. It's after midday, literally.
Huh.
A hard one. You just say guten Tag and you're good.
Yeah. Guten Tag.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, Brian.
Good afternoon.
Oops. Good afternoon, everybody. It looks like the default was everyone set to mute. So if you want to talk, just make sure you know to unmute. We have it recording already. Just want to make sure that there's no accusation. We're not talking about things we're not supposed to talk about because it's a special called meeting. So I started it recording from the moment I got started. Hey, Miss Favre, good to see ya.
Thanks, you too. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you. It's 2:31. Let's see. Sarah, do you know if Anitria is planning on jumping on board? Did you happen to say anything to her?
No, but I'll find out.
Okay. And looks like the only other one we're missing is Mr. Davis. I was communicating with him by email, but we didn't specifically talk about this. So. Sydney, glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and give just one more minute and then we'll get started. Well, hey, I'll go ahead and get us rolling. It is 2:32 p.m. on July 21st, 2021. This is a special called meeting for the Atherton SBDM Council to talk about Policy 101, course sequencing, issues affecting Policy 101, as well as an update on some staffing that's occurred during the summer. The big one, the main thing, the main reason that there was a sense of urgency behind the timeliness of this meeting has to do with a change in our course, not necessarily our course sequencing, but it's more, I think, just from a standpoint of transparency with our SBDM council. It's our approach to scheduling, how we're approaching particularly our junior year classes when it comes to the curriculum and the courses themselves, and kind of setting that vision for students coming into our school as an IB World school. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share here. The big picture. And let's see, Sarah, can you see the graduation pathway image? Okay. So the kind of the big picture discussion here has to do with English and math, particularly among our traditional honors program. We usually have English 1, 2, 3, and 4 honors. But I'll tell you, from an IB World School standpoint, IB schools across the country, across the world, they identify this standard level IB English literature as the standard, the standard to which students need to meet. And then there's a higher level. So kind of if you think of standard level and higher level, same as our honors and advanced, then to better align ourselves, not only in designation, course designation, but also in theory and in philosophy and in practice, that we're preparing our students to be engaged in an IB course their junior and senior year. Matt, I know I didn't really ask you to be prepared to speak on this, but this isn't something that we just kind of made up in the last week. It's something we've talked about since the end of last year. We've been preparing to engage, either have or been preparing to engage our teachers who would be affected by this. And when I say affected by this, that is for English, junior year English that traditionally has been called honors. We want to identify it and teach it as the IB English standard level, the standard level, as opposed to the higher level. Same thing eventually, not next year, but the following year, kind of phasing this in. Those kids would then go from junior IB English standard level 1 to now their senior year after next to standard level 2. Matt, you just want to comment on like why we feel that this is appropriate?
Yeah, I can. But first I have a question. So we have, I'm looking at the honors program, it says SL English literature. I thought we agreed on the language and literature for the SL. That way they can have a wide range of different text beyond just literature.
Yeah, you're right. That was my mistake. That was me just trying to call over to materials and production and see if they could revise this for me real quick. So I'll make that note in our minutes here that it's is that the technical, is it just English language or is there some other type of?
Well, if you want to get really, really technical on both of them, it's IB language A, which would be English technically for us, but it's language A, and then for the SL would be language and literature, and for the IB, the diploma program, it would be just literature.
Literature, okay.
But I mean, just IB English for us and our purposes. I mean, that's really what it is. So yeah, language and literature for the SL, and then just literature for the higher levels.
Great. And you want to talk a little bit about like, hey, is this crazy? Are we just saying, are we watering down IB? Are we setting unrealistic expectations? That for those who haven't been part of this discussion, do you want to explain why we thought this is the right thing to be doing?
I don't think it waters down. I mean, the SL is rigorous in and of itself. So yeah, we're going to be approaching it from that standpoint. But I mean, I feel that our honors offering traditionally, especially junior and senior year, has always been IB in its approach anyway. And, you know, we as a department have always taken the honors designation very seriously, which, you know, that's a college preparatory level anyway. So for making that type of move from honors to SL English, I really do think that it's the equivalent, but with the IB, it definitely emphasizes the IB philosophy and pedagogy, especially the more holistic view that you know, the higher level students have traditionally enjoyed, and we feel that, you know, if we're going to be a full IB school, you know, this is definitely the way to go. I think it aligns really well with, sorry, I have trains in the background. So I think it aligns very well with our academies, especially with the language and literature, having them analyze various types of real world text and graphics, especially with media arts. You know, I teach a media arts class, and I've already been scheming how I can definitely bring that content and that knowledge more specifically to bear in a HL or in a SL language and literature type of way. And then Phil Hoagland and Steffi Hankins taught the HL with me. We're teaching the SL this year, so we all have the experience with the IB curriculum very well, but we're also teachers who have taught various levels at Atherton. So, and we've talked over the summer. We've met, so we've been very deliberate in how we are approaching this transition. So, I'm excited about the move. I think that it just kind of solidifies what we already have in place and just kind of formalizes it.
And we've also talked about, this is something that's not just about that happens junior year, right? I mean, this would be something that helps, as you were saying, solidifies that IB world school mentality and ownership from freshman year and sophomore year as well, that our kids coming in aren't thinking, well, IB, you know, Atherton IB is for some kids, but not for me. That, you know, all kids, focusing on English, all kids know that ultimately I'll be taking standard level or higher level English, you know, at my junior and senior year. I guess I'll pause for just a minute and see if there's any questions on that. The administrators have been part of these discussions. So I know some of y'all may not have, may have questions pertaining to that, or just, you know, excitement or concerns.
One, I'm excited for that. Number two question, does that mean that all juniors and all seniors are going to be sitting then senior year for their the IB exam? Are they going to take that or not?
Ms. Beckley, do you want to go ahead and even though that's a separate issue, as the IB coordinator, I'll let you go ahead and field that.
That's in the works right now. We still need to sit around and discuss what exactly we're going to be doing with that. But my initial thoughts are for the standard level English, looking at different colleges and universities and what they take as far as credit, they don't take standard level English as credit. So we want to teach our students through the IB lens and the IB curriculum to prepare them, but not necessarily require that yet. We are going to sit down and look at policy and go through all of that. But right now that's kind of in the works, but we're working on it.
So
I'm sorry I was jumping the gun, but I can guarantee that the students will be asking for that one. So. Right.
So the real issue is we have an SBDM policy that says if you take an AP or IB class, you take the associated exam. So what Tess is saying is we really need to come together, analyze that policy, and then present a new recommendation to the SBDM Council, aligned kind of with what Tess was saying, is that standard level, if we take it at what it's saying, a standard level for the course, we can make a determination whether or not the exams are optional or not, based on what the SBDM Council, how the SBDM Council would want to revise the policy. But the policy, which is policy 10 something, I got it right here. It's 102. So would be something that we have to review aligned with this this new course sequence. So this would be something that's phased in. You know, it's not something we're going to have last year's juniors all of a sudden in a that second year of an IB course. We'd want to phase it in, but it's not just a junior year experience. So our sophomores and our freshmen would be exposed and prepared as well, so that into the future, years into the future, we have a stronger overall IB program. The same philosophy, and I'm not trying to, if someone has a question, you don't have to, I'm not trying to push it along, but The same philosophy applies with the math. Here, so our applications is essentially Algebra 2 with Algebra 2 concepts, application concepts beyond that. So and this whole idea actually originated with the new department chair, Ben Molberger of the math department, saying why do we continue to do all these different pathways? Can we do something more aligned and strong? Not because it's minimizing choice for kids. In fact, it's the opposite. It's making our math sequencing stronger and more well aligned and clear for kids. So you know, that same idea about junior year, the honors algebra 2. Now, we're not changing the chemistry of any classes that are currently created. The master schedule has been set, but those just like the honors English 3 would then be taught and coded and syllabi and everything following through with the IB English language and literature SL. The honors algebra 2 would be taught, the curriculum would be taught as IB applications. Is it, Ms. Beckley, is it IB applications and approaches or something like that?
It's IB applications and interpretations.
Applications and interpretations. And that would be at the standard level as well. And again, we've got, just like with English, Matt mentioned the teachers who are teaching these courses, they're already teaching the higher level IB juniors. So this is like a perfect timing and parallel and group of strong teachers to be implementing this, and particularly with all the change that our students are experiencing from the past 2 years, that this is a great time for transitioning and casting a vision for the future of Atherton, where every kid coming to our school knows that they're part of the IB program, at minimum in English and math, right? And then the others would be more based on their interests. This idea does not apply so well in the other content areas because biology and chemistry and and physics and U.S. history, just I didn't want it to become something where we're somehow significantly disrupting what we've found to be an effective course sequencing across all subject areas. So with this year, particularly focusing on English and math, it was really, I think, the right time, the right master schedule, the right sequencing of things to really make this big leap forward in that every kid coming to our school experiences an IB course, whether it's at a standard level or a higher level. So those are the policy recommendation that we are not changing the policy, but being transparent about the coherence of the administrative practice with that policy 101. So I'm going to pause here and see if there's any questions before I ask for an affirmation of that change so that we can make it official with our teachers in preparation for that as well.
I'm really excited about this. I think this is really great, especially after I went through IB training this summer and like how things happen at other schools, for it to be more prominent in our school. I am a little, I don't know if concerned is the right word, that's probably too strong. I was curious how rolling out this information to students is going to look, because I know that some students are going to feel kind of overwhelmed by like having to take an IB course and like feeling like that's too much for them. So I was wondering how students are going to be approached with this. I mean, I think they can do it. Right. And I think it'd be really great, but I know that they're going to feel stressed.
No, and I think that the fact that you asked the question that way is the perfect example of why we need to be doing this, right? Because when a kid thinks, oh no, I'm taking IB English, their head's going to pop. And we need to break that cultural perception that they can't do an IB standard level course. That IB is the way we teach it. It's the way we approach teaching and learning, and students demonstrating their learning, and we'll scaffold them into that. Matt, since you're going to be working directly in that realm, and as the English department chairperson, you know, beyond the IB visionary communication that I can send out, and we can share at open house and share at registration and push out through school messenger. You know, how do you feel that teachers will help transition students, particularly in the first week when they're arriving and reviewing a syllabus and things like that?
Well, I know you and I, we've talked about this. So Kim, your concern is a concern that has been considered very, very much because it is about communication. And we don't want somebody freaking out because they see something on the schedule and they have no idea the context for any of that. So I know that we discussed putting out like a one call, just kind of officially announcing that. But I know Mr. Hoagland, Ms. Hankins, and myself, we are going to compose our own message and just kind of open up a dialogue that way. I know that first week, especially when we discuss syllabus and the objective and the goal and the aims for our course, I know that we're going to have to be very, very deliberate in how we frame this transition because, I mean, if I were going to be blunt, I mean, the content itself doesn't change. The expectations, you would have these expectations with me in Honors 3 anyway. And, you know, I know Ms. Hankins and Mr. Hoagland have reputations too, where they can say that and be very credible. And I like how Dr. Aberli is framing it as it's a change in approach and not content. And so we're going to be very, very careful to make sure that our communication is really emphasizing the approach is going to be different, but the expectations, I mean, even the things I'm teaching this year that I'm planning on teaching are things I've already taught to Honors 3 like last year. So I can truthfully say that's not changing. It's really just about the approach and making sure that we're communicating. And I also want to add to that, you know, we're starting it this year, but I mean, if you really think about it, there's a 2-year process happening here too. So it's really just kind of taking it step by step and making sure that we're communicating with our students. And I even talked with Phil and Stephanie about approaching these conversations with our students and the emphasis of really making them feel like pioneers of this, that they themselves definitely are going to be very influential, their experience and their voice. And so just making sure that they're a part of that conversation as we evolve this thing over the next 2 years, I think is also really, really important.
If I could say something from a parent perspective, real quick, actually a couple of points. I think to Mr. Reinhardt's point, it's important to stress in the communications to whether it's going to a parent or a student that really the content may not change as much, that it is something that has already been taught or is being currently taught. But also, I think that's a key to it. But also, I think another thing is making sure that the communication to the parents is as key as it is to the students, because I think in many cases this may prompt discussion within the family of scheduling for future years in high school. And I think it's going to be critical that not all the communication is directed straight to the students, but that the families are highly considered in this, because I think they're going to be a key factor in helping to communicate the message that it sounds like is trying to be put out there, that this is not a bad thing. This is not, and I agree with Dr. Aberli. I think, you know, many students hear the word IB and immediately they just, it just kind of frightens them. But this is a very positive thing from my perspective. But I think it's all in communication and it's all how it's presented. But I do think it's critical that that communication be directed not only to the students but equally as strong to the parents.
Great. Sydney?
Yeah, I agree. I just want to, and especially coming out of the year with COVID, I think there's a super large disconnect between parents and students and parents in school. And coming out of that school year and into this, there's going to be a lot of freak out if someone sees IB if they didn't necessarily request it, or they just didn't feel like they were prepared for it. And even though the content probably isn't changing, going into the class, a student could have freaked out so much that they're not even interested in connecting with it because they feel unprepared. And then the family not feeling connected because of COVID could also play an issue because maybe they're not as involved in encouraging the student to perform well, things like that, just little stuff. But I think it's good. I'm excited, but I can see how it would be scary for some people.
Yeah, we'll have, it's a transition, right? And I agree with all of what you're all saying, and that is communication is going to be key, not only up front in the time frame before school starts, but also the communication and the support for kids as we transition into back to in-person learning and back to this new I hate to say philosophy, but the way we're approaching the way we envision what IB means now. So it's thank you all. Anybody else? The same discussion, even though we've only been talking about English, the same idea applies really with that Algebra 2 as well. So it's really kind of focusing on those two things that have really kind of are the meat and potatoes of this one. And in all honesty, with absent of all of the other transition stuff that is happening, I see this as being the big leap forward in our school, being a true IB World school, having students come to us, feel connected with the IB program from the first year, or even before they even get here, wanting to be part of that IB program at any academic level, and make those connections across the academy, the CTE courses and the academies as well. That IB connection with the academies is for everyone, right? And that, to me, that's core to addressing disproportionality that exists prior to students coming into our school and exists with students in our school.
So Dr. Aberli, I see how this is more applicable to math and English and less so for science and social studies. What about world language? Or is there another subject area?
It's already that way with world language students. Students are, Sandra, I'll let you're the world language department chairperson. I'll let you speak on that.
Well, for world languages, if the student starts as a freshman, you have to start with a language as a freshman. If they're jumping in a foreign language as a sophomore or junior, they're not gonna go and get to the IB level because of the way it is set up. But world language is standard level, at least for German, French, and Japanese. It's standard level for seniors, which is a senior class. And Spanish is a different story because we have standard level and high level there. Does that help? Okay.
So, yeah. So we have it. We already have this alignment in place. So. Well, unless there's further inquiry, can I get a motion to, I guess officially what I'm asking for is a motion to approve a revised graduation pathway, because the graduation pathway is approved by the SBDM Council every year. And that revised graduation pathway is the one that I displayed that has phasing in our students into an IB with the revisions to the course titles, the IB junior year, English language and literature, and IB applications and interpretations, both standard level. Need a motion if someone's willing.
I'll make the motion.
Great. I see a bunch of them. All right. Mr. Smith and Sandra seconded. Do we have any further discussion or before we, or do we have consensus? If I could maybe a thumbs up or yeah, or yep. All right. This is a big deal. In my mind, this has been in the works for a couple months because I really feel like this is a big deal in addressing what we've seen as just how disproportionality is manifesting itself at Atherton starting freshman year, and these cultural divides. When I say cultural divides, I mean between our honors and advanced, and what that's looked like in the way of ultimately academic disproportionality among our upperclassmen. So this is going to be really important, I think, for years to come. It is going to be a learning curve for our students and our staff, a cultural shift for our learning, for our students and our staff for a couple years. But honestly, I think in the next 2-3 years, this is just the way we've always done it. And it's going to be another huge leap forward for Atherton in the way of our achievement. So thank you all. That concludes the agenda item for Policy 101 and the approval of the revised graduation pathway. I'll put that graduation pathway in our SBDM folder and along with the minutes to this. The other staffing, there's an important staffing note. We actually have, now we're not supposed to talk about people, we're supposed to talk about positions. We actually have 3 significant staffing things to be aware of. We have 3 teachers who expressed intent to retire after the start of the school year. And again, we're not supposed to talk about names, so but I can't talk about positions. One's a social studies position, one's an English position, and the other is an ECE position. I'm going to leave it up to the staff when they're comfortable to communicate with the rest of the staff and to finalize those. But I wanted you all to be aware that as that happens, it just creates a little bit of we need to be alert, I guess, to the staffing and the funding allocations of that. So what we've done with the English position that has been expressed to us as far as the retirement in the later in the fall, we've gone ahead and filled that position so that we have consistency among learning for students in that taking those courses. And we'll be using that teacher in another capacity until retirement. When that teacher retires, we then cash in that fraction of whatever's left of that school year. That money we can then recapture and use in other ways within the school. Similarly, the social studies position, we've advertised and we are hoping to find a candidate that we're excited about. And then what we'll do, what I'm requesting of you all now is to fund an overlap of that position. So that overlap, meaning if we bring in a teacher now, knowing that someone's going to retire October 1, then it costs us $12,275 to have an overlap of a teacher. So I'm going to share. Give me just a second. I'm not sure if I'm going to be in the right thing. Give me a second. Nope, that's not it. Well, you know what? Whatever. Here, I'll just do it this way. So there's a staffing 4 and 5 change form that you all have signed a bunch of times before, where we indicate that we're wanting to purchase an overlap for that position in the amount of $12,725. I think I said it wrong earlier. It's $12,725. And we would pay for that. We have the money because we had a nice rollover from last year. And it's not showing my PDFs. That's why I'm having trouble pulling it up. So let me see if I can just share screen. Here we go. Mr. Smith, do you see that form now? Okay. So here's the form I was talking about. I was going to show you on the video. So we're purchasing an overlap teacher from August 9th to October 1. And we would be paying for it from our 018-118-0610-900XF, our general fund where we had rollover. And the question is, wait, do we have that money? We sure do. If you, let me see if I can increase this. You know, I like to talk budget. So when you scroll down to that particular account, you see that we have plenty of money sitting in there in that 118-0610-900XF. We're actually, for this year right now, our actual 2021 actual, and I have this in the SBDM folder right now, is 317,886. So we're that's about I think it's about 100,000 more than our normal yearly operational budget. So we're sitting in a really good position financially to afford this staffing change form. So I guess I'll stop screen share and ask if there's any question about the purchasing of that fraction of a teacher. This will allow us to advertise, interview, and hopefully hire before the start of the school year, knock on wood, a social studies teacher to replace. And then we would determine the best use of navigating those 6 weeks.
So the teacher who's retiring, are we hoping that we'll hire a new person and that retiring teacher won't start teaching the class?
We would decide how to best utilize that teacher based on the skills, experience, you know, and training of a potential person that we'd be hiring. So it really depends on who we get on how we use that teacher. Not any questions. Can we have a motion? Wait, let me make it clear. A motion to approve the digital signature of the section 4 and 5 form that's allocating that $12,725 to purchase that portion of a teacher.
So moved.
Excellent. And got a thumbs up, Sandra. Any concern before we have consensus?
What about the ECE teacher? Or is that a separate motion?
That's a separate, yeah. Let's finish this motion. I'll tell you about that situation. So consensus? All right, good. Yeah, the ECE position is something that just came to my awareness in a very short period of time. And that I'm not recommending a motion on taking action at that time because proper paperwork hasn't transpired yet. So once certain things have occurred officially, then we can decide what best action to take to help with that transition. And, you know, ECE teachers work primarily in a collaborative setting, so we have a little more flexibility in our way that we approach that. So I'm comfortable with where we're at with that right now. Awesome. So we approved the Policy 101 Graduation Pathway revision, the Section 4 and 5. And I'm sure you've all received, and I have to be careful in what I share, but I'm sure you've received the communication that the other staffing change is my reassignment to the Office of School Finance and JCPS as the Executive Administrator of Budget. It's been my honor to be with Atherton for 14 years and principal for 11 and a half of that. You all know how excited I get when I talk about budget, and I'm actually on a state committee, the Kentucky the Government Affairs Committee with the Kentucky Association of School Administrators. In fact, I was texting the president and the general counsel of that association about this change. The same time I was communicating with you all about it. And I've, like part of that committee, I went to Washington, D.C. and attended a conference where we were reviewing all the national policies that are affecting education. And then we went and met with senators. I met with John Yarmouth, and I met with Mitch McConnell's assistant. And, you know, just trying to make sure that education is being advocated for in the way of how policies and laws are affecting the funding of education. So I'll be honest with you, the more I've prepared for this interview and this job, the more excited I get about it, and how relevant everything I've done here at Atherton is to helping support a vision for budget and for education and for kids, how we help kids in this new role. So it's for me, it's kind of it's a lateral shift, so to speak, as far as where we are in the hierarchy. But it's an awesome opportunity for me to be able to put to work the experience I've had here at Atherton and the things that have really energized me in other ways beyond this building and campus. So this will officially be my last SBDM council meeting. Although my tenure as principal will not end until August 6th, I don't foresee that I would actually be calling an SBDM council meeting from here forward, so that I don't in any way or even appear to in any way interfere with the process, the principal selection process that has a very strict legal proceeding to it. This meeting really wasn't designed for that purpose. I was hoping that we'd have another meeting separate. We were hopeful that we could delay the announcement so that more information could be shared with you regarding what the interim process would look like and the selection process. But Shauna Stinton, who many of you know, she will be the one reaching out to you in the near future to share what the plans are and how that relates to where we are as far as the tenures of the people who've been elected to this council. That's her job. I really don't want to speak to that at all, because I don't want to, this is being recorded and I don't want to imply anything or say anything wrong. But I do want to just share what an honor it's been, and I don't say that lightly, to been working with you all. Most people hate I shouldn't say it that way. Traditionally, when you hear principals talk about SBDM council meetings, it's not something that gets them excited. And I can tell you, I hope you see it, that I get excited about meeting with you all because it's such a great group of people with the passion and the excitement and the focus that we make decisions that have impacts on kids. And so this has been something that I've really enjoyed doing, and it's going to carry with me into the future as well, as I help be part of managing the nearly $2 billion that of funding that JCPS receives every year, the hundreds of millions of dollars that are coming in the coming years through the COVID relief funding, the ESSER funding, elementary and secondary school emergency relief funding that's coming through federal funds. It's really important right now for new and experienced principals to understand how to navigate all that money and funding in a way that supports their school best. And I'll be honored to be in that kind of position to do that in this new job. So that's it. Just wanted to say thank you. And as I said, Shauna Stinton will be reaching out to you all officially. I've shared all your all's information, email addresses, names, and your election terms with them, and they'll be following up with you. All right. How about just give a thumbs up? This is our last one. And how about this? I'm going to end it with what you do makes a difference, SBDM Council. You've made a great difference. I'm still around for 2.5 weeks, so I'll get to talk to many of you all between now and then. So take care.